Hello and welcome to all of you astrology lovers. Let's get into this video. Interesting times, to say the least, right? This is Scorpio time. I did a video a couple of weeks ago, I think, about Jupiter entering a Scorpio. And I think that I've mentioned somewhere that Scorpio, which is the sign about truthfulness, which is the side about getting the truth, especially when it's hidden and when it's dark, it's gonna come out in order to be healed and to be, that people find their own strengths back. Isn't this happening on a collective level? Oh my goodness. And let's talk about this. I want to talk about the Scorpionic energy and what it really means and how it is reflecting in the collective by all these things that are coming out with Weinstein in America, with, what's the name of that comic? Is he a stand-up comedian? I don't know his name. It skips me. But in our in my own little country of Belgium, there is a huge media scandal going on with Bart De Pauw, who well, I'm not going to make a video about him, but these are all examples about this energy. And let's talk a little bit about that, what Scorpio is all about, and why is this? A lot of people are saying, why is this happening now? And I see whenever a planet changes signs, like Jupiter just did, it entered Scorpio. When did it actually enter Scorpio? I should know that. I do astrology every day. Veerle. How on earth can you not know now? It entered Scorpio in the beginning of October. So around the 9th to 10th of October. So then, and Jupiter stays in Scorpio for about a year. And now is very much Scorpio time, not only because Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, is in Scorpio, it's also Venus is in there, the Sun is in there. So Jupiter, that's 3, and this weekend, actually on Friday, Saturday, depending on where you live, it's going to be also the Moon in Scorpio. So we are having like big, huge traffic jam in the sign of Scorpio. So this weekend and from Friday on, things are even gonna come out more, especially with the Mars-Pluto square happening as well. I'll talk about that in a minute. But why are these things all happening? And why do I see so many clients now coming to me with Scorpionic issues, Scorpionic problems, Pluto problems as well? So what is Pluto? Pluto is a planet that really much has the same flavor of Scorpio. And these two planets, Jupiter in Scorpio and Pluto in Capricorn, are going to be highlighted, especially now this weekend. That's why I'm making this video, for people to explain a bit, to prepare them a little bit, like, you know, I'm explaining here the weather. And actually what I'm saying is take an umbrella when you go out, and then you can deal better with the weather that is. So what is this all about? Scorpio, it's not a bad sign or a good sign. Every sign has a high frequency and every sign has a very low frequency. It's obvious that we are seeing a lot of the low frequency issues coming up. But that in itself is interesting, because the high frequency of Scorpio is the following. Scorpio, people who've got a lot of planets in Scorpio, or who are very Plutonic people. I mean, Plutonic people are people who've got Pluto on a personal planet or on an axe. These people on a high level, so who have owned that planet Pluto, who know their dark side, who know their shadow side. At the good side, these are the healers. These are the people who empower others. These people are, when you have a strong Pluto in your chart, that could be the surgeon who's digging very deep, because that's what Pluto is doing. Pluto digs deep to make something to restore, to restorate. That is exactly what Pluto is doing. So a surgeon could be doing that on a very physical level. Or a therapist is digging deep into your soul in order for you not to run away from your pain anymore and to deal with it so you can heal and you can go on with your life. Or you could be someone who does not this for a living, but a natural Plutonic or Scorpionic person is a person who attracts people who are in pain, and they can just, they are not afraid of pain. They are not afraid of darkness. They are not afraid of the things that are taboo, and that's why they're dealing with it, and they can help others with it. So actually, Scorpio at its highest, or Pluto at its highest, is tremendously powerful. These are the Gandhi, for instance. He had Mars-Pluto, Mars-Pluto being a very hard aspect, but he used it for the collective. He didn't use it for his own self. He did, and that's the thing. If you are a person who uses Pluto for yourself, you're gonna get into trouble. You're gonna get into power trouble and power struggles, because that's the negative side of Pluto. The negative, very low, and also of Scorpio, the low side of Scorpio is manipulation, is I know your buttons, how to push them, and I'm gonna do it in order for me to feel a bit better. Or I know that you want something from me and I've got it, but I'm going to blackmail you on this. You know, this is all the lower vibration of Scorpio. So a lot of people think, oh, Scorpio is all about sex. It is, a part of it is about sex and sexuality, but it's actually, for instance, here in Belgium, the thing about Bart De Pauw, I don't think this is all about sex. It is mainly about misuse of power, or possible misuse of power. It is still, there's still, it's allegations, so it's still not proven. So I'm not gonna say he did it or he didn't. I mean, I don't know. So it's all about that. It's about having power and not being able to use it the right way. That's basically what's happening now. And that's what I'm seeing with so many clients as well. I had I think in 3 weeks' time, I had 3 cases of, it was a student versus a professor, for instance. So everywhere, and it was in America, about people who were, I'll give an example, one example there. So everywhere where there is an imbalance of power, there is a pitfall of misuse, abuse. There is a tendency. It doesn't, because when there is an imbalance of power, there is a possibility that the one misuses their power and also the other one falls into that trap, because it's 2 people, of course. It takes 2 people to the abuser and the victim, the so-called victim, but actually they are having the same wounding. And I'm going to put a link below, another video I made with a friend of mine, and she works in Holland, in the Netherlands. She works for Loverboys, how to, you know, people who are victim, young girls, impressionable girls who are victim from Loverboys. And we did a video about that, put a link below. And I said to her, when I look at the charts of, you know, the known people of the abuse, or when there was sexual abuse or rape or etc. I mean, there are charts available and there are birth dates available. And when you look at those charts, what is so striking is that the victim has the same issue in their chart as the perpetrator. And she said that's exactly true, because those 2 stories, although it seems like the other one is doing something, is having a weakness, so to speak, and the other one is just going over, you know, the victim, so to speak. No, it's like 2 people really having a problem. And it's no offense to those 2 people, but those 2 people, they meet up, they attract that in their lives. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. The reason is to heal. The reason is to bring it up. That's the deal of Scorpio. It wants to bring it up so you can deal with it for once and for all and go on with your life. That's why when you're not coming out with this, whether you are a victim, for instance, there is a problem here now in Belgium that, well, a problem, I mean, with the case of Bart De Pauw, that people want to stay anonymous, and I truly understand them, but it's not going to work. They're going to carry on this weight with them forever, unless even maybe with a group it will strengthen them. I mean, this is not about one person who is saying that they were. It's a matter here in Belgium of stalking, and the allegation of stalking, and it wasn't one person, but like I think it's 10 now, 10 women, especially young women, saying that they were stalked by this television producer, or well, someone who's got great power, so it's about these two people who meet, and they have an opportunity. How strange it might sound, but they have when you see it from the side of astrology and the side of a spiritual matter, they have an opportunity to heal. They have an opportunity to get over this trauma, and but it's a very hard one. Pluto is the most difficult planet, and it demands a tremendous amount of courage, and that's what these people will have to do. I mean, the victims here. So there's two sides of the medal with Scorpio and with Pluto. The one side is a perpetrator who doesn't see, and that's the problem of the perpetrator. He or she, let's face it, women too, can be a perpetrator, maybe in different ways, but they are. There's no gender aspect here, or no color, or no whatever. The perpetrator doesn't see that he or she is doing something wrong, and that is the problem. That is the problem. Again, when I make reference to the story that is going on in Belgium here, that is happening. They don't see the problem, or they minimize it, or whatever. So that is, they're crossing boundaries, but they don't even know it. And that's Pluto too. Pluto puts it away so deep so that the people, the low frequency Plutonian people or Scorpionic people, they don't even know that they are doing something wrong, because it's so painful also. So they just put it under the carpet. But when you have a time like this, when everything comes out, you can't put it under the carpet anymore. And if you want to, it will make it worse. And that's also what is happening to Bart De Pauw. He wanted to defend himself very early, and it seems, in my humble opinion, that it's gotten worse because of that. Anyway, the other side, so he or she who is perpetrating, they have to deal with controlling their desire nature. And for some people it would be controlling your desire nature. Come on, everyone has to control their desire nature. When I am a boss of 20 people under me, I can't text them, do you want to fuck me? I mean, do you want to have sex with me tonight? I mean, I have to control myself. It's very easy. Okay, for some people it is. For these people who are perpetrators, this is exactly what is not easy for them. Their desire nature is so strong, you know, that Scorpio is all about desire nature. Pluto is all about desire. It's so strong that you cannot reason with it. You cannot talk with Pluto. You cannot talk with Scorpio. The desire is immensely strong. And the growth development for these people is that they will be, of the lower frequency, so to speak, is they will be put into situations where they will have to control their desires. It's the same like people who've got like many planets in Scorpio, or Plutonic people who are very, very young, and especially like Venus or the moon in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, they can fall, they don't fall in love, they fall so deep, and the desire is almost physical, is so strong that the desire is stronger than the reasoning, you shouldn't be doing this. So it is no secret that a lot of obsessive behavior is typical something of Pluto and Scorpio. It's the negative side of Pluto and Scorpio. Obsessive behavior. You can't control yourself. It's a weakness, of course. But mind you that these people, although it is a weakness, sometimes they can be in very powerful positions. So they are used to the fact that, I have power. This is the situation. I can say to you, you have to do this and that, and they're doing it. And so they think that they can get away with it. If, of course, one of these days what goes around comes around with Scorpio and Pluto, they will have to face it. So that's one side. The other side is the victim. So the one who, let's for instance, what I hear a lot is people saying, yeah, but if I would be, let's take the Hollywood world here. If I would be that person, you know, that's typical when people don't understand anything of it. If they say, if I would be presented the main role in a part, and that producer would say to me, yes, you can have it, but you've got to do this and this for me. You know, you have to be on the sofa with me or whatever. I would say, forget it, and off I go. Yes, a lot of people would do that, and I'm sure that a lot of people also, yes, I'm sure that a lot of people have done that. But the thing is, not all people are like that. People who are victim here, they are the ones who have also a weakness. Whether they like it or not, they better see the weakness, and the weakness is in not being able to say no. And I'm not saying this to hurt them, I'm just saying this to seeing it that, and that's why I think it's so powerful and so courageous that in this Belgium case, that these women have gone through they have gone to the vertrouwenspersoon. I don't know how I have to translate it. I was vertrouwenspersoon in a huge company once, and I know. So that's why I have an affinity with what's happening there. Vertrouwenspersoon, what would that be? It is a policy in Belgium that when you have above certain amount of people, for the care, the care of the people, or the well-being, so to speak, of the people, you have to have a vertrouwenspersoon. Someone, please, someone looks it up, and it's a person in trust that you can say things, and it can get legal. It doesn't have to, but it can get to that point. So these women here, although they want to stay anonymous, which I think is not the best case, but anyway, they are already trying to do something, okay? So they're trying to get out of the powerlessness situation that they are feeling. So they're getting there, I'm sure, and I hope that one of them at least will get out of it and will have enough courage to be able to, you know, when someone will come out and is known to say, I'm the victim, that is a tremendous amount of healing waiting for that person. But anyways, we cannot force these people to do that, can we? Or we would be the Plutonian person in a bad way. But these people, they also have growth in their chart. When something is happening like that, what they learning is to say no, and to set a little bit stricter boundaries. Of course, when this happens to a very young, it's easier said than done. When you are older and more mature, when you are like 18 years old and you're very impressionable, it's not all that easy. And of course, the perpetrator is not going to look for someone who is strong already. It's going to look for, you know, a weak prey, right? And again, no offense to these people. They have an opportunity now. Lots of victims now have an opportunity to stand up, to grab their courage, to mobilize their Pluto, to mobilize their power, and to take it back. That is exactly why I really think this is a very interesting period on a collective level. So you see, these people are having the same wound. One is not being able to set a boundary, the other one is not being able to to see that they're crossing the boundary. But basically, they're both having a problem. And I remember when I was working as a vertrouwenspersoon, again, I'm so sorry I can't translate this. When I was working as that, I learned that it was not only the perpetrator that I needed to work on and to say you have to stop this. And in 70% of the cases, it did stop. It was more about bullying. It wasn't always about sexual assaults. It was more about bullying. But I also needed to have a look at the victim to empower them. And I also worked very hard on that because these people need to create more self-love, but also more self-care, and they need confidence. You know, the opposite sign of Scorpio is Taurus. So and Taurus energy can help the Scorpio in the being grounded, being, you know, Taurians are very, it's Taurus and Scorpio, they do deal with the same issue, which is possessiveness, which is security, and which is also resources, your talents. But the Taurian is very grounded and is not so crisis prone as the Scorpio is. What you do hear a lot about Taurians is that they say that they attract a lot of crisis-like people or very emotional people. That's because they're Taurians and their opposite sign is Scorpio. So in relationships, they are going to meet a lot of emotional people because it's a balance. It's a balance. So the Taurian energy, and Uranus is going to enter Taurus next year in May, is going to help to ground and to be very practical and to be very real. And excuse me. So that is a very interesting fact. But so the victims also, when I was in that role of vertrouwenspersoon, I also had to do a lot of effort into making the victims stronger. And that's not, I can do a whole video on that in itself, because that's not easy. Because when you, let's say for instance, someone is bullied in a group, and you think, okay, I'm going to put away that person and put him or her in another group and the problem will be away. Very often what you see is when you take that person who was the victim in that one group of bullying, you put it into another group and same story happens again. So that's why, not to shame that person, but also to show, and this is so important for society, and this is my message, in this little video here. I know I don't have many influence, but maybe I have some. And if you like this video, please do spread it. But this is my main point. We have to focus on how the perpetrator sees their boundaries and is not going to cross them. But we as a society also have to deal and to help the victims, not in saying, oh, what happened is terrible. I don't want to minimalize this here, but I want to empower those people that they also need some work to do, that they need to, and the pain is there to as a wake-up call, not as, because when you go away from that pain, you just going to increase it and it's never going to be away. You have to go through it with a lot of courage. So it only helped when I could also make that victim a stronger person. And I'm not talking here about going to assertive classes to but it's about talking about these people and doing things that make them a stronger person. So next time they are a bit more able to say no. And not like, you know, some people, and sometimes it's men too. It's really, who hasn't got a friend who is very, you know, outwardly very muscled and muscular and very strong looking, but has trouble in saying to their girlfriend no, and saying to them, you know, maybe they are robbing their bank account or whatever, and they cannot say no. They cannot say this is enough. So it is also, it works on both sides, and there need to be done work on both sides. That's basically what is happening now with Scorpio, is that these two sides the perpetrator and the victim have an opportunity, a chance, if you like, to transform and to become, for the victim to become a stronger person, and for the perpetrator to control their desires. So that's basically what this is all about, this energy. And the sooner we see it, the sooner we can work with it, because seeing it is just one step. Of course, if a person is not, I'm doing this with people too, who, well, I was talking about, I had a case of a person who was working on her PhD. And she was in an abusive relationship, and it was very much on a mental level. So abuse is not only physical. I mean, abuse is emotional, mental, mind, and sometimes the consequences are almost as tough to deal with. And she was in a situation where she has, I don't know how it is in America apparently, but if you want a doctorate there, it's also many, many years that you have to study, and you work on a project and work on articles that you need to write and all of that. And she was in her last year that this professor that she worked for was really making an abuse of his power position. He had a power. He knew that because there were it was a thing of competition. So there were other people who were wanting that 1 or 2 spots of PhD, and there were like 6 people who were available to do that. It was something like that. So competition. And she had, of course, the desire. Again, mastering your desires. She has the desire nature to succeed, which is normal, which is if you want something, so if you work for something so hard, if you want something so hard, then you won't let go very easy. So, but he was getting worse and worse and worse, you know, conferences that they had to do together, and it was all, it's like a process, you know, it doesn't happen all of a sudden. And so he asked her to do things that she didn't want to do. And she said to me, Veerle, but I'm in this position. I want this PhD, and I worked so hard for him. So I have to do this, don't I? Or what do I have to do? I'm struggling with this. And I said that this person had shown a weakness in her. And the weakness in her in this particular case was that she wanted it so badly. That it, again, the desire nature, you see the desire nature, it's not always the perpetrator who has problem with controlling the desire, it's also the victim that has a certain desire, and the perpetrator knows it. And if that desire wouldn't be there, the perpetrator would not be able to manipulate you and to control you. So never show what you're really desiring is basically, yeah, that's maybe a good tip. Never show, especially not to bosses, I mean, this happens everywhere. This happens in the corporate business world as well, you know, this kind of abuse. But anyways, so she said, yeah, I want it so badly that I would, you know, cross my own boundaries and do it. But she was struggling. That's why she ordered the reading. And of course, I can only give advice. And I tried to explain what this was all about. It was about the control of your desires. And the respect for yourself. And I said, which one is the highest? So we did a talk, and she said, okay, you're right. And it resonated with her that she would have to say to that professor, I'm not going to do it. And she's risking to put away 6 years, you know. That's the courage that I'm talking about. They are afraid of the consequences, which are going to be difficult, for sure. And then this is something spiritual that comes in that I want to add. And I said also to her, look, if the universe, which is bigger than you, the universe is some sort of, you could say, accumulation, or it's like consciousness on all levels. The universe is like, it's having all the consciousness of all the people. Who's more intelligent? You having one consciousness, or the whole universe having all the consciousness together? And that made her think that she said, indeed, I'll have to trust. Trust is a big thing for Scorpio and for Pluto, because people don't trust, they're going to perpetrate, or they're going to let people cross their boundaries because there's no trust. So she said, I'm going to have trust, must have trust in the universe that if I won't get that PhD, something will come on my path that is even better than that. And I said to her, I can reassure you, because of the working with so many clients over the years have shown me that when people have these kind of issues coming up in their life and being triggered by Pluto, being triggered by Scorpio, you may be sure that when the victim people I'm talking about now, you may be sure that if these people show the courage, if these people are going to own their Pluto back, even with the consequences, there's a big, big treasure waiting for you. That's what I've seen in so many clients writing me very long. These are the most beautiful letters that I'm getting of the people who are getting these strong Plutonian crises. And they write a year after, they write me back like, look, like that person here who just last week she wrote me back and she said, I did it. I said, I'm not going to do it. And I understood her fear, you know, she's not going to get that PhD, he's not going to give it to her. And he had a heart attack, the professor. He had after she said no, he had, I'm saying, you know, how the universe can work. I'm not saying, oh yeah, he had a heart attack. No, the circumstances was that he had a heart attack. He's all fine now, but he's actually not so she got the PhD from someone else. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. So she got out of it. Actually, when she let go of her desire, it came to her. That doesn't mean to say that and that is wonderful. I mean, I was very pleased for her, because ultimately she got what she wanted if she distanced herself from that wanting. It's the same with people who want to get, women who want to get pregnant, and who can't. You hear that quite often, don't you? That when they let go of the desire of wanting it so badly, they then spontaneously get pregnant. That has to do with energy. It's not a mystical thing happening, it's energy. It's physics that is happening. When you let go of something, magic happens, for sure. And for that client, it was magic. She got her PhD. And but it could have been also that she didn't, and that another something. Well, I very much hear from clients who have those heavy Pluto transits. They say afterwards, I lost a job and I didn't want to lose that job, but oh boy, 1 year later I know now that that new job that I'm having is 10 times better for me. You see what I mean? It's about the act of surrendering, which is so difficult for people who've got a lot of Scorpio and Pluto. So anyways, I have a feeling I'm going on and on and on about this subject. I think it's a very interesting subject, and I think we can learn so much. We can